yada, yada. So he calls me up. This was the day that Rick Perry had suspended his presidential campaign. So Ralph gets me on the phone. Hey, Ralph, how you doing? Crazy old fart. He goes, hey, Rock, listen, before we get too crazy, I got some other people on the phone. It's a conference call. All right, and he introduced me to a couple of guys. And there's another guy whose name I'll leave out because he supported Rubio. And a sitting senator.
Okay.
So I said, what's up, Ralph? He goes, well, you heard what happened? I said, yeah. I mean, it snowed in the mountains, and what are you talking about happening? He goes, Rick Perry pulled the plug on his campaign. So, he dropped out. Yeah, I heard that on the news this morning. Yeah. He said, well, when he dropped out, Austin Barber, who's holding Rick Perry's super PAC, we're talking about tens, hundreds of million. I mean, a lot of money. Tens of millions, over 100 million, for sure. Nobody knows how much is in that super PAC, but we know he's been getting $10 million donations from some big guy. Rick Perry's a pretty popular guy. Now, Rick Perry wears $2,000 suits, got an $800 haircut, $400 haircut. And really nice orator, looks, never a hair out of place. Rick Perry's good.
Perfect TV persona.
Exactly. If he hadn't forgotten commerce, he may have had a shot 8 years ago when Romney blew up. And then this cycle, it was a comeback, and it was just too late for him. He'd already blown it 4 years before.
Okay.
So it didn't work out. So they called me up. I said, so what do you want me to tell you about that? I don't know any more than you do. They go, no, listen. It gets a little more involved than this. But basically what he asked me to do was, he goes, so I told these guys on the phone are Rick Perry supporters. They're donors. I don't know how big or how small. That never came to light because it was moot. He said, what we want you to do is, I told them, if you look at Rick Perry, as we just described him, and do a 180, you're looking at my buddy in California, Rocky Giordani. Now, his politics are to the right of Rick Perry's, and my politics are way to the right of Rick Perry's. He's way too moderate for me. Now, when people say way to the right, somehow visions of Ku Klux Klan and shit come to their head. That's not to me. That's not right. To me, when you go far the right as you can, you bump into the Constitution. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a constitutional conservative, and I don't know what other far right thing even means. I don't consider Timothy McVeigh to have been far right anything. He was a lunatic. I see he was far right. He's just an idiot, a maniac. Okay. So I told them that you would make a much more interesting personality. No, I'm sorry.
Well, we've already got that one down.
I laugh about this all the time because it makes no sense to me at all. It still makes no sense to me, if you want to know the truth. This whole thing has just been too weird for me. So I said, well, Rick, are these guys wearing tinfoil hats? He goes, no, man, come on, don't goof around, man. This is serious. I said, okay, Rick, Ralph, I'm taking you serious, but what does he want me to do? We want you to drop out and step in for Rick Perry. I said, you are fucking crazy, man. You are fucking crazy, man. There's no way, dude. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to subject myself to the ridicule or my family. No. Now, let me explain. When you told me to dress casual, this is why I said, don't worry about me being casual. If you look in my closet, on the left-hand side, there's a stack of perfectly clean, unstained white T-shirts. Mm-hmm. Then on this side, there's a stack of stained white T-shirts. So I know to grab a dirty one if I'm just going to get dirty anyway. So I get up in the morning, I take a shower, and I just grab the next clean white shirt on the rack. I never spend more than 2 seconds wondering what I'm going to wear. Can you see me out buying Hawaiian shirts? Does it make me look fat? Yes.
I'm still leaving that alone.
Right. I cut my own hair. It's a number 5, and then I do the little trimmer thing.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I cut my own hair. I have all white T-shirt. Now I get up in the morning, I put on a clean white T-shirt. Usually I wear Levi's and tennis shoes, but if I have a date, I wear boots.
Okay.
And then the nighttime, I take my evening shower. I'm either putting on my pajamas or I'm going out to dinner, so I put on Levi's boots and a black T-shirt. In the middle, there's a stack of black T-shirts about that high.
Okay.
And that's it. And then I have white socks and the same black brief underwear from Jockey. I never spend more than 1 second thinking what I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
Underwear drawer, sock drawer, T-shirt, pants. So I'm that Rick. Rick Perry's. I can't step in for him. He goes, remember, we're doing a 180. I said, yeah, you're doing a 180. Okay, man. So So then he starts talking, and he starts hitting me with numbers. He said, listen, some other guy chimed in and says, listen, Rocky, we've never met, but I've talked to Ralph about it. And we've talked about you 3 or 4 times already. And this morning we talked about you for about an hour and a half. He said, so we're all into this. He said, what we're willing to do is give you up to $2 million to get you to the Iowa caucus. Now, it shouldn't cost you any more than $2 million to get the Iowa caucus. We will fund your campaign up to $2 million to get to the Iowa caucus, which I believe was February 1st. Right? So, anyway, I acquiesced because, okay, you're going to start throwing money. I mean, it's hard to... I said, okay, listen. They said, just get to the Iowa caucus, see how it works out. This is how they cleaned it up. The Iowa's a blue-collar state.
Yeah.
There's only 30,000, maybe 60,000 Republicans in the whole state. They're all working men. They're all guys just like you. We think you'll do really well in Iowa, and we suspect that nobody else is going to do well in Iowa. And they were right. Remember, everybody, Fiorina, Huckabee, they were all polling with single digits, 1s and 2s. Well, actually, compare, if we go by the signatures that I got to get on the ballot in Iowa, I would have come in with better numbers than all of those lower tier candidates. Fiorina, Huckabee, Pudge Christie, all of them, Kasich, everybody except for there were one guy in double digits and one guy close to 9 or 10 or something. Rubio, I think, or Cruz. So I would have done really well. So I got to Iowa, went to Iowa. We had some boots on the ground, kissing babies and shaking hands, and just doing regular stuff. Didn't cost me nowhere near $2 million. I don't know where anybody came up with that number. Don't know where you could have spent $2 million. It didn't cost me $1 million. Didn't cost me $500,000. Didn't cost me $200,000. Didn't cost me $100,000. It didn't cost me much of anything to get to Iowa and get the required amount of signatures, meet enough people, talk to enough people to get enough signatures to get on the ballot.
That's because you didn't stay in the 5-star hotels. Didn't you know that?
No. I stayed in Marriott, and I think it was a Marriott, and I just did. I wasn't hiring my nephews for $10,000 a week, I guess, is how they do that. Anyway, so I don't know where they spend all this money, but I live on a budget every day. So I figured I'm just going to do. These guys want me to do this in less than $2 million. I better start trying to keep the cost down. Well, so I'm trying to keep the cost down. Where the hell would you spend more money? It's not possible to spend that much money. Anyway, so
apparently it is.
I get to Iowa. I get the signatures. We advise the Secretary of State and the Attorney General in Iowa. We send them both copies of the signatures and all the numbers we have, and we do all the filings and whatnot. The GOP, in their infinite wisdom, the Republican Party, refused to let me on the ballot. So,
but you had the requirements.
They're stating time constraints. You're too late. Well, this was about 2 weeks before the caucus. So about a week before the caucus, I'm still trying to figure out how to get on it. We're still arguing. For a solid week, we argued with everybody. The Secretary of State said, listen, I can put you on the ballot for the general election, but I can't put you on the ballot for the caucus. That's a private Republican caucus. They don't have to let you on that ballot if they don't want to, and they didn't. Not getting on the ballot means I don't get to address the people at the caucus. I don't get to state my case. I can't ask for votes. I'm not on the ballot. Now I'm a write-in at the caucus. Well, this just basically drives a stake through the heart of the whole idea. I call Ralph. He says, well, that's terrible news. Everybody's really upset as you are, but mostly we just feel bad that we put you through that. I said, no, man, don't worry about it. He said, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I kind of feel like these assholes are going to fight with me, because everybody tells me there's no such thing. I spoke to Rand Paul. I sat next to Rand Paul at the caucus, and he says, that's bullshit, Rocky. He says, that's just not true. There's no such thing as 2 weeks being too late to get on the ballot, man. You can get on the ballot because if you look at the ballots, they're very informal. They're just like stuff you'd print up in an elementary school. They go. No, it's true. I saw the ballots as I counted them. They go to different areas. It's not a formal like a ballot like you have in a general election. He goes, this is they're pulling your leg. He said, I just don't want you on the ballot. I wonder why. I said, well, he says, what have you been doing while you've been in town halling? I said, well, basically I've been motherfucking Donald Trump because that's the guy who's I need to tie glasses with, right? If I want to get these votes in blue collar Iowa, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, that might have something to do with it. So as it turns out, okay. So now let me skip forward to Arizona.
Okay.
I go through the same thing in Arizona. You can.
No, I'm actually watching the time on this because then I'll just start the second one.
So I get to Arizona in plenty of time and qualify, and once again they don't let me on the ballot. This is what, yeah, right. This time I know it wasn't time constraint. There was nothing they could say. Ralph told me he's my best suggestion. He goes, just make your stand in Arizona. Forget North Carolina, forget Vermont. You're not going to do well there because you didn't get on the ballot in Iowa. Go to Arizona, make your stand in Arizona, get on the ballot there. So this guy's pretty smart. Now, if John McCain swung left too hard, he'd hit the head of the Republican Party in the nose. That's how far left he is. Even if McCain in Arizona, it's a very tough state.
So what happened in Arizona?
They wouldn't let me on the ballot again. So now that makes it more sense about what's happening in Iowa. So I felt like they had just been picking a fight with me. So now I'm just changing gears. Now remember, I worked in TV my whole life and movies.
Okay.
I've been carrying my camera crew with me everywhere I went. I have this all on film. I documented every bit of it, right? Okay. Including Rand Paul donating his talking time to me at the caucus. He says, I'm going to forego. Now, the next day, he pulled the plug in his campaign, which made it make more sense. I don't know why he did it. He said, I'm going to forego my speaking time. There's somebody here I think you need to hear from. Because he had asked me what I was going to do, and I told him. He thought that was pretty important. He said, Rocky, come up here. I'm like, so Ken Crow, when you talk Republican politics...
You had literally that little notice?
Yeah. No, I mean, like 5 seconds. But he when you talk about Republican politics in Iowa, you're talking Ken Crow. He's the head of everything there. He's the man. He does all the radio shows. He does everything. Anybody wants an opinion in Iowa about Republican politics, they call Ken Crow. He was the co-founder of the Tea Party for America. Then he resigned because there was some shit with Sarah Palin.
We'll leave that alone as politics. Okay.
So he says, go on, man, go on. This is your shot, dude. So I go up there and I said, okay, well, my name's Rocky Giordani, and I only have a few minutes. And I basically filed my Form 1 and Form 2 papers. I'm technically a candidate for President of the United States. A couple of applause, well, thanks. But I'm not on the ballot. You won't see my name on the ballot. I didn't make the ballot. Evidently, it was too late for me to qualify. So what I'm going to do now is I'm changing gears because I'm assuming everybody in here is a conservative like myself, and I'm not very happy with most of our candidates. So what I'm going to do, what I'm really pissed off at this point, I'm just pissed off. GOP picked a fight with me, and they shouldn't have done it because I still got $2 million in my kick because I haven't used none of it. Okay. So as I'm going to go to every caucus in the nation, and I'm going to follow this GOP thing around, and I'm going to try to capture delegates. I'm going to start with Iowa. And I know some of you people that are listening to me are delegates, and some of you know the delegates. They're your cousins or your friends or your neighbors. Get those people in touch with me. What I suppose that we do is we get to the convention in Cleveland, and we stand in a corner. We sign a petition. We stand in a corner, refuse to vote until whoever our candidate turns out to be Trump, signs off on a 5-point conservative agenda. A tax limitation balanced budget means balance a budget without raising my taxes. A clear plan to pay down that $20 trillion debt. Audit the Fed because they are fictitiously holding down interest rates, trying to make us believe that there is no inflation. And when that bubble bursts, we're going to be worse off than we were in 2008. So,
hold on a second. I want to make sure we capture this. So